Guess what? Adivinhem? Sim, vocês estão me acompanhando mais uma vez na nossa grande rota mundial dos festivais de rock e derivados, acompanhando os festivais que acontecem aí pelo mundo. Nessa edição estamos mais uma vez em etapa inglesa. Nos encontramos em Reading, cidade que batiza um dos mais importantes e cobiçados festivais da Inglaterra, da Europa e, quiçá, do planeta. O tempo nunca é muito bom, mas ali em cima do palco não tem tempo ruim. Está começando a edição de 1996 do Reading Festival, só na sua Music Television brasileira.
Under my thumb, the hoe who won't shut me down. Under my thumb, the hoe who wants fucked me around. It's on me. The way she talks when she's spoken to down to me. She's under my thumb. Under my thumb, this woman got who shucks right all day.
How do you feel about that, about this specific explosion of the so-called alternative rock? And as you mentioned up there, you're a punk rock band from LA. What's it like being a punk rock nowadays with this massive sort of amount of bands that come and go, this kind of things?
Well, I'll tell you what, when we started as a punk band, it was, a rebellion against fashion and music and establishment and everything, and it's almost like we feel that way again. With this big explosion, it's kind of like, a lot of the bands I don't care for, personally. I don't buy it. I was there in the beginning. I know what it was like, and it was tough walking down the street with blue hair back then, so it's kind of hard for me to identify with, but on the other hand, it's like, since punk rock has been accepted in the mainstream, that tells me that maybe the mainstream has gotten a little more open-minded and that they'll hear what these people have to say, provided they have something to say.
Why can't still look at someone else? It's on me. The way she comes when I tell her to down for me. She's under my thumb.
Why did it take so long for you to release this new album? White Light, White Heat, White Trash, is that right?
Yeah, well, it took a year to write, a year to record, that's 2 years. We rested for a year from touring from the last, Somewhere Between Heaven and Hell record. And, spent a year trying to get Mommy's Little Monster and all the early singles back, because it was very important. It's like having a runaway kid out there on the streets, and you want them to get them back. That was ours, and we wanted to get it back for 10 years. People have been asking me, how can I get your early 80s, stuff?
Children are taught to hate. Parents just couldn't wait. Some are rich and some are poor. Others will suffer more. I'm been ashamed without society try to keep you down. They get to watch and change. They see them turn around. Let's try to keep you down. Turn around.
Each record kind of depicts what I've been listening to at that period. And this record was kind of back to the 70s, early first wave of punk rock, the Dead Boys, Ramones, Iggy Pop. That's where I'm getting my inspiration right now. It's because the music today isn't so much doing it for me. That's how I feel right now.
Begin to watch this change and see turn around, turn around.
Ash! Wicked!
But you it all got you up. Turn around tonight. You wouldn't be expected, but you wouldn't say no. You don't please, one side of the best, but you, aren't you? Let it go!
passar aí com a rapaziada do Pose, se apresentando na edição de 96 do Reading Festival. How's your Portuguese? Do you understand what I said?
Not a word. I only know one phrase in Portuguese, and it's not very nice.
Come on, tell me here.
No, you don't really. Somebody once told me, and I can't. I'm not saying this to you, right?
That's a good one. I know this one.
All purpose.
As you're talking about Brazil, I mean, let's start with Brazilian music. I understand that you are into a couple of Brazilian bands. Is it true?
Oh, definitely Mutantes. You know, big fan.
How come you get in touch with Mutantes?
Well, the world delegate for Mutantes in America, Bill Bartel, you know, turned me on to the band and gave me some records, and grown to enjoy them very much.
Festival life is like the greatest. I mean, you get to go and like play and then hang out basically and have a good time. So
Do you have time to actually walk around and see other bands playing?
yeah, sure, we make time. Yeah.
You know what was weird though is you know, like he said, we were at Reading 3 years ago, and I watched a lot of bands on the big stage, and now just playing it suddenly just didn't seem as big anymore.
Oh, yeah?
It's kind of weird. Like, do we get shorted? Do we get the shrunken stage? Only time will tell how grunge wore off on us, or we wore off on it, or we related.
Is it something that at any point sort of appealed to you, that sort of you were sort of misinterpreted by the crowd or something like this?
You know, I think it's kind of evened out because as much as it's helped us, it's hurt us. So it just kind of cancels itself out. Like, some people think it's great we're from Seattle. Other people are like, oh, we already know what you sound like because you're from Seattle. So it's never really hurt or helped us is how I kind of view it. It's even.
How's Amazing Disgrace doing, I mean, in terms of selling, reaction of the crowd, these kind of things?
It's doing great in Europe, you know. It's weird. It's kind of a mystery to us why in America we don't ever seem to, like, totally break through. But all I know is that we can come back to Europe pretty much whenever we'd like to, you know, and that's a good feeling.
You've got a larger audience in Europe than in America, you say?
For the most part, in certain pockets, I'd say yes, you know. But it's more that we just actually sell more records over here, too, you know. That's a promotion thing, though, too, you know. America's a really tough cookie to break, you know.
Yeah, that's right. What about the major and
Not a very tasty cookie, by the way. It's a cookie that tastes like shit.
What about the weather? Is it always like this?
The weather in England is just hideous. There's never good weather over here.
Chill this weekend.
It's just they've shit on us, haven't they, for the weekend?
All right, it's okay then.
Yeah, but it's all right. It's nice and squishy.
This is really good, actually, yeah. We're normally up to here in mud.
Apart from the bands, what's the best thing about the festival?
All the people and atmosphere.
All right, atmosphere. And what about the weather? You enjoy this kind of weather?
It's fun.
All right. So let's talk about MTV. Is it true that you were a VJ?
I was an MTV VJ for MTV Europe.
Yeah. What sort of work? I was a VJ. All right. I mean, what sort of programs did you do there? What sort of...
Well, I started off with a fashion program called The Pulse. I don't know whether Brazil got it. Sometimes it got sold to the different MTVs, yeah. And then I started doing an independent music show called Alternative Nation.
All right.
But all the time I was an MTV VJ, I was doing the music already. Anyway, me and Paul were together.
You were a duo before, right? Just the two of you?
We were a duo. It was kind of acoustic. It had a kind of a, I don't know. It was quite humorous in places, I guess. It was very weird, very odd, but very poppy. But we just built it up. We got a drum machine and we got several different bass players, and it just grew bigger and bigger. And then we decided to get Pete and Rob in the band, and then we changed to Salad. The really bad ones, because they're funny.
You sort of read reviews, yeah?
Oh yeah. We've almost framed the bad ones. We don't get that many bad ones, but the really, really bad ones of other bands, they're so much more amusing to read a bad review of a band than a good review. Yeah, okay, good review. So what? Bad review. Yeah. I mean, spitefulness is fantastic. Now that you're here, my happiness is boundless as can be. I want you. Yes, I want you. Yes, I want you. Yes, I want you to know loving you has changed my life.
What about the women in pop, in rock, all these kind of things? I mean, is it still difficult to be up there in front and singing? Maybe people are sort of judging you by loads of things apart from your musical things, singing, all these kind of things.
Yeah, they will judge you, but actually it's getting better and better. It really is. It is much easier now to get up on that stage and be a woman and be sexy and still be respected as a musician. It's getting better and better all the time, you know, so I don't have a problem with that. I don't actually see myself, I just see it as a problem. I'm just a musician with the rest of them, but I happen to be a woman and I make use of it. So, and I think it's good to see strong women in pop. A band like Elastic I like because they're just strong women and it's so sexy. I want you to know I'm loving you, I say yes. I want you to know I'm loving you, I say my life.
Hello, Brazil.
Hello, Brazil.
We love you, Brazil.
We love you. We love you.
You love our chips, Brazil.
Oh, fine. Bye.
I would never to believe it. I bought into what I was sold, and it did. I bought nothing. This is not my idea of good time. This is not my idea of good time. This is not my idea of good time. This is not my idea.
What about that Petro Emotion? What happened to that? It was a band sort of very good band. I mean, with different elements to the music. I mean, I noticed a couple of sort of, as you said, kind of progression from that time. I mean, what really happened to that band? What would you say? I mean, was it a kind of a misunderstood band? Would you say?
Well, again, just a lot of bad luck for one thing. the record company, Virgin, the last record company, just gave up on them. You know, the last couple of last two records, they just really didn't promote it all, and a lot of money was spent on Kemi Crazy. That was the fourth LP. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I think whenever I think a couple of singles, Hey Venus and Sensitize, when they weren't hits, I think that was a sort of death knell as far as Virgin were concerned with the Petros, and even the press. They got a lot of, you know, even their last LP, which is quite a great LP as well. I can't remember what it's called now.
Fireproof.
Fireproof. It didn't even get reviewed in England, you know. It just got totally ignored, and they get really just despaired. You know, it's hard. It's difficult, obviously. You know, the band have been going for so long, and then they bring out what they consider a great record, and it's ignored in the press. It's really disheartening. And if you're not, you know, if you're working, you're trying to do a job, working on a building site and making music, which they were doing and stuff, it's really, you know, they go, well, just give it up. They just give up after a while.
People sort of use this description, Portishead, and then when one person writes it, everybody else uses it. They base their, you know, what they know about it on it, you know. And you know, if you saw the set tonight, and it's really varied. I mean, you starting off with Can, then we end up with like a really dancey number, you know. So it is really varied. I mean, Portishead is just a label that they hang on us, but it's not really that accurate at the end of the day.
What about Stone Roses now? I mean, what are the expectations for the show? I mean, new guitar player.
I got this new guitar player, like, who was he from? Simply Red, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't like the sound of that. It's not really that rocking, really, is it?
Right.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I don't know, John Squire was very, very good. I don't know who their replacement is.
It's the man out of
Simply Red.
That's right.
You don't sad. So we'll see how that goes.
Reading Festival was traditionally a sort of a hard rock festival until a couple of years ago, and then you sort of changed to sort of indie alternative. When did you realize that you had to change, I mean, the structure of the festival, and why?
Reading in 1988 went broke. I just think it hadn't changed with the times. You know, it had a lot of old dinosaurs on. Yeah. And I was approached in 88 to know if I would want to buy into it. And that's when we changed it. We changed it in 89. We had New Order on, and we put a lot of new, what they call indie bands.
Born in motherfucking 69!
of years ago, I mean, people, especially music press, tried to transform San Diego in the new Seattle. How did you feel about that? And I mean, especially because Rocket from the Crypt was considered one of the most important bands of this new San Diego scene.
Well, I think it's all, you know, just bullshit. It's like, it's kind of, it's hard on an area when people, you know, come and they bring these, yeah, exactly. And they make these expectations about a place, and it's just like, you know, what the people have been doing what they've been doing in San Diego for a long time. Now all of a sudden that some, you know, journalists care about it, you know, it doesn't change anything.
Rage Against Machine. Rage, definitely want to see Rage.
You Rage Against Machine.
Fábio Massari com ela, grande presença, Kim Gordon no Sonic Youth, edição de 96 do Reading. What about the touring thing? I mean, especially now because you're a mother. How old is Coco now, and what sort of things do you think that has changed in Sonic Youth, especially on the touring thing, being a mother?
Well, she's just over 2 now, and I don't know, I guess I get a little less sleep.
Is she on tour with you now?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Does she enjoy being around?
Yeah, I think she does. She was totally dancing to Compulsion.
Oh, yeah?
I think it reminded her of Nirvana.
Got any idea of how many records you used to sell before?
So before we signed her major label?
Yeah.
I don't know, about 70,000 or something.
Oh, yeah? What about now? Plenty of gold records at your home?
No gold records.
Nothing?
No, we belong to that category like the Stooges and Velvet Underground and Patti Smith, who never had a gold record.
That's what's important. That's clear enough. See me. My eyes are focused. My brain is talking. Looks pretty good to me. Heads on straight. Girlfriend's beautiful. Looks pretty good.
Do you think that... Vamos dizer, chegamos ao final, infelizmente. Essa foi a edição de 1996 do Reading Festival, também o final do nosso pacote de festivais do mundo. Espero que vocês tenham gostado. A gente se divertiu e logo mais tem mais, ou melhor, logo mais tem muito mais. Até.